Today we are going to talk about SAP PS project system. We will take a look at what is PS, how does it interact with other project management tools offered by SAP, how do you create a project in the SAP system, and some customizing behind creating a project, creating a work breakdown structure, and a quick look at network and activities. SAP PS is a project management tool that assists you throughout all the phases of your project. It has got high level of integration with other SAP functions such as logistics, accounting, human resources. SAP PS ensures that the necessary business processes are handled quickly and efficiently. It provides structures that allow you to map projects flexibly and with the appropriate structures. Using suitable tools and reports in PS, you can plan and monitor dates, costs, revenues, budgets, resources, materials, and so on. SAP PS is a component of both mySAP ERP and mySAP PLM, which is Product Lifecycle Management. In addition to PS, SAP offers other products for efficient program and project management. These are C projects, which is collaboration projects, and SAP Cross RPM, which is resource and portfolio management. C projects can be used independently of PS, but also in combination with PS for efficient program management. C projects is a web-based, flexible, and easy-to-learn tool tailored to suit the requirements of development, consulting, and IT projects. In addition to the functions offered by C projects for structuring, planning, and implementing projects, different integration scenarios such as C folders can also be used. SAP Cross RPM is used for strategic management of the entire project portfolio. To this end, data from different project management tools, for example, Microsoft Project, C projects, or SAP PS can be consolidated with controlling data from ERP financials and monitored with special dashboards and SAP Business Warehouse. The merging of data from different project management tools in SAP Cross RPM facilitates uniform system-wide resource planning for all the projects. The two key structures provided by SAP PS for mapping projects are work breakdown structures, or WBS, and networks, which is also activities. You can use a work breakdown structure to organize a project in the form of a hierarchy, which can have multiple levels, and hence map the structure of the project itself. Networks, on the other hand, are used to represent the individual project activities together with their temporal and logical relationships. In other words, the flow of the project itself. You can map a project using just one work breakdown structure or just one network. However, you can also illustrate a project using a WBS and one or more networks in order to use the characteristics of both structures together. Work breakdown structures consist of WBS elements that are arranged at various levels to produce a hierarchical model of the project activities to be carried out. Each individual WBS element can act as a controlling object in which you can plan and monitor costs, revenues, payments, budgets, and dates. A network represents the flow of the project. The individual tasks in the project are mapped as activities in a network, and the temporal and logical dependencies between the various activities can be represented as links, also known as relationships. Activities form the operative basis for planning and controlling dates, costs, and resources. When activities are assigned to WBS elements, as you can see in the figure here, The dates and costs defined in the individual activities are totaled up, aggregated at the WBS level, and can be evaluated. Activity funds already assigned are checked against the budgets of the WBS elements. We will have a look at how you create WBS elements and activities and assign them to each other in our project when we look in the system. Let us look at an example of a project that you might have to set up on the SAP system. So let's say this project is about creating a turbine. The starting point of this project would be a customer inquiry and later on a sales order for constructing a turbine system, following up with a billing document to actually do the billing. So these three steps are at the highest level. In addition to the controlling related aspects for developing and constructing the turbine system, it is also important to consider a number of logistical requirements in terms of material availability, material procurement, capacity availability, etc. The network acts as a quantity structure for planning dates, costs, resources, and material requirements automatically. In general, for a large project, you would be expected to do activities such as creating a customer inquiry in sales and distribution, creating a project with WBS structures, planning dates, using scheduling, planning resources, planning materials and costs, creating sales pricing data, and creating a quotation off the back of that, entering confirmations, purchasing materials, and posting revenues, calculating overhead costs. So in simplified terms, the project can be divided roughly into the following phases: conceptualization, preliminary planning, detailed planning, approvals, actual implementation, and finally the closing. Let us have a closer look at the work breakdown structures. The WBS elements are the objects that are actually used for planning and updating the actual data. Because the WBS structure is presented hierarchically, the data can be summarized and displayed for the corresponding higher level WBS elements. When you create a WBS, you also have to create a project definition. The project definition is a framework for all the objects created within the project. The tasks of the WBS, as shown in the screen now, represent the various functions that a WBS can perform during a project. There are various ways of creating and editing a WBS. The project builder is one of the most popular one. The project builder is a user-friendly and intuitive tool used to create the project and the WBS structures and the activities, and you can use the project builder to maintain any object in PS except for production resource and tools, PRTs, which we'll talk about later. It consists of a window divided into three areas, and we'll have a closer look at the project builder when we look into the system. Networks map the flow of the project. The basic elements that go to make up a network include activities and relationships that describe the tasks and temporal dependencies between the various tasks in a project. SAP PS supports different activity categories such as internal processing, external processing, service activities, costs. Activities are linked to each other by means of relationships. This results in a causal and temporal activity sequence. In this way, networks form a quantity structure for planning dates, costs, and resources. You can create activities and maintain the data for them in the project builder. In the project builder, you can create activities for WBS elements. This means that the activities are assigned to the WBS elements in question. It also means that the planned and actual data for the activities can be aggregated at the WBS element level. So let's have a look at the system to see how we deal with these entities and objects and create an actual project. So I have now logged into the SAP system, and we will create a project with some WBS elements and also look at a bit of customizing behind them. So PS is under the accounting node. So you have accounting, project systems, project, and the project builder that we spoke about. So this is what the project builder looks like. At the moment this is blank. So let's try to create a new project. So we'll create a project for elevators, creating elevators and the corresponding WBS structures and activities. So I enter my project number here, E9907, and the description, elevator group 07. I'll just scroll to the right so you can see it. Let me just reduce this. So now you can see that this is my definition with the description, and I need to choose a profile because this is a mandatory entry. So I'll choose the investment projects profile, and then I save. So the system is compiling, as you can see here. This is the first time on this system that a project is being created after the refresh, and when that happens, the system typically runs programs and you see these kind of messages at the bottom. So I've got a message that the project has been created. So now we have created the shell of the project. Let's now go back and add some WBS elements. So you can see that this window here shows the last element I worked on. This is my project, and this overview will give me the WBS elements, which are now blank. The next one gives me the networks, which are blank as well. So I'll now add a few WBS elements here. So I will now create a 3-level hierarchy. So this is my top node, elevator group. This is the second level, engineering. This is the third level, electrical engineering. And this is again my third level, which is mechanical engineering. And I see these elements here at the appropriate level, and I save. We can also create WBS elements by using a template and copying from the template. In this way, we can put the experience gained from past projects to use in our current project. So the way to do it is you go to the highest level here, and we use the context menu, which is basically a right click of the mouse, include WBS elements. Now here we will use a standard predefined WBS element structures to copy from, and that structure is E1001-2. This is going to be with root on the right hand side and without activities. So you press enter. We get a message, an error message, that this WBS element does not exist. Now the possibilities are that it existed and somebody has deleted it, because this is an ID system and there are various users working on it in parallel. So let's instead take another one. E0001 and with the same settings and press enter. And now you see that this has been copied. Now if I go to the graphical display, I see that my new element is here. So what I need to do next is to derive the structure from the new WBS elements, and for that I need to go to project, derive structure, execute. And now again when I go to my hierarchy structure, I see that the assignment, the derivation and assignment has been complete. So this is my new EU structure that's been assigned under mechanical engineering. On this hierarchy graphic, you can move around objects either using the tools of the hierarchy graphic directly. So I can cut this and then I can assign it to, for example, here directly, and you see the hierarchy has changed. Or there is an alternative, so we won't save the data. So this is my existing hierarchy. You see EU is at the bottom. Now this is my WBS element, and I can just move it a level up, and EU has moved a level up now. And if I do the same thing again, I'll see that my WBS element EU is now attached to the top level. So you can just play around and move the different WBS elements around the hierarchy using either the hierarchy graphic or the context menu, the right click over here. Now we will look at creating a project with activities and networks. And we are going to copy an existing project and then make modifications as we see fit for our own project. So this is the name of our project. Description, turbine group 07. I won't enter the dates, and the system will prompt me to put in a date, or as a fallback the system takes today's date as a start date. So my standard project where I'm copying from is this one. This has already been defined in the ID system, and I copy with activities and components and simply press enter. I get the message profile copied. Copy options, yes. Enter the start date, otherwise system will use today's date, and that's fine, and the copying is complete. So my new project is a copy of an existing IDs project, and I can see the different elements that have been copied, which I can now change to make my work quicker. So these are the WBS elements, the activities, activity header here, and the milestones. So this is what a project with networks, activities, and milestones looks like. So in this project, this is a project for turbines. Some of the engineering work for the rotating blades of the turbine is to be outsourced to an engineering company. So we need to create an externally processed activity for this with a description engineering of rotating blades. So we'll create that under this one. As you can see, the descriptions are in German because the original activity in the ID system was created in language German. We can change this in your actual project. It will be the language that you set up for yourself, but for now it is German. So under this WBS element, we will create an externally procured activity. So let's go to the activity view. Here we already have some internally processed activities that were defined in the original project that we've copied. Go to external one and we create a new activity here, engineering of rotating blades. We need to get the right info record where to copy from. So these are info records for external procurement. We select one and then we just press enter. Data copied and my new activity has been created. So if I go here, I see that my new activity is right here under the already existing ones. So I can go to this activity now and change any details that I need to, like the cost elements, WBS element, control key, plant, etc. So let us now have a quick look at customizing. Before we do that, let us try to create a new project to see the impact of customizing. So we've got this project profile, and if I scroll to the bottom, I've got workshop view. What we'll try to do in customizing is create a new project profile and see that it should appear at the bottom here. So the transaction for customizing is SPRO. And I go to reference IMG and PS is down at the bottom. This is the area where all the customizing related to project systems is done. So while we won't discuss all these elements, there are quite a few of them, let's look at the top one, structures, operative structures, work breakdown structures. So this is where we create the project profile. So if I choose this, these are all the profiles that already exist in the system. So what we are trying to do is copy a standard profile into our own and then make the necessary changes there. So we will take the standard elevator profile and just copy it across. Now this is my new profile. I can call it, let's call it Z test. So the number of entries copied is 1. That's the message I get at the bottom. Here it is. And I just save. When I save, I'm asked to enter a change request number, which is used for transporting this change from the development system to the test production systems. But this being an IDIS system, this change request is not going to go anywhere, but I'm still requested to put in a change request number, which I have taken the default. So now I've created Z test. Let us look at a few details of this. Now you see this is my new profile Z test and various pieces of information that I can customize and change. These are all copied from the standard profile, but I can change them as per my project requirements. Now let's see if when I create a new project, do I get this option under the project profile. So I go back to my project builder, project new, and this is where the project profiles are. If I scroll to the bottom, this is where my Z test is. So this is a profile that I have customized, and I can straight away start to use it in my real implementation project. There are a whole lot of things that I can customize, but in this overview session we'll just take a look at one or two. So going back to customizing, let's take a look at this node where you specify the person responsible for the WBS elements. So I've been using 07, that's the one assigned to me. I'll just copy this and let me call it 777 and call it test responsible person. Just save. And now when I go back to my project, let me open the project that I created earlier, 9907, and I see that my person responsible was 7, which is what I had been using. I've created a new one, 777. I can search for it, but let's see if it appears. Yes, this is my test responsible person, the customizing for which was done just now. So this is my control. So we've seen two elements of customizing: the project profile and the person responsible. There's a whole lot of customizing that you can do, but the idea was just to take a quick look at various structures and some of the customizing behind them. Hope you enjoyed this session. See you again soon.